Hello there, internets. Today we're going to be taking a look at the DCS World 2023 and Beyond trailer that was just released not too long ago. Apologies as I listened to the other video a day or two later. I have a potato quality mic. I guess here in 2023 at some point I need to invest in probably a better microphone again. I'm not sure what happened to my last one when recording, but this headset mic is certainly not as good as what was on my old headset, but any rate, again, Life, the Universe, and Everything video probably coming out this weekend and updates. But first, let's just go ahead and take a look at DCS World 2023. Now, this is what I've been playing for most of the last half decade over BMS. I still like BMSs and prefer BMS. However, I have been flying BMS now for going on almost a quarter of a century. And after you do one or two campaigns in a couple of different theaters, you kind of get the sense of been here, done that before, especially in the F-16. Well, I'm kind of looking forward to the F-15C and some other aircraft coming along just to add a little bit of spice and variety of life. However, when it comes to multiplayer over the past 5, 6, 7 years, because BMS is still kind of finicky on that and there's no server browsers and you have to know where to go look for servers and they're not always up and operational 24/7 365 unlike DCS. But DCS has its own host of problems, and hopefully we'll see if any of them are going to get fixed here. According to this, I mean, this is very interesting. They put this slide at the very beginning, and we'll just go ahead and go through um, the entire video. Let me see what my desktop audio. I've got to go pick up the little one here in a few minutes, so this isn't going to be an incredibly long video, and I'm going to probably try to do it in one take. So hopefully it's not overwhelming, and if there's copyrighted music, well, the channel's been monetized for 2 years anyway, so I don't really care, so long as it doesn't get a channel strike, and even then, I'm not sure I frankly care either. But it's very interesting that this was made with NVIDIA DLSS and multi-threading. I'm just putting that out there because out of the blue last week, Falcon dropped, BMS guys dropped their update, which is their initial foray into multi-threading and multi-core support. So I'm not sure if you can hear this or not. Chopper. Apache. I don't own the Apache. It was a McDonnell Progress or product when they owned Hughes. I'm not sure who owns Hughes these days, if it's Boeing or somebody else. I think it got spun off, the helicopter company down Mesa.
Hi, this is Nick from Eagle Dynamics, and welcome to 2023 and beyond. Thanks to all of you, our wonderful community, our partners and friends, 2023 is looking great for DCS. With a large array of core engine enhancements, as well as exciting new aircraft, terrains and content. Your trust, passion and support are what made us who we are today, and we will never forget. Thank you, each and every one of you who have been there for us, and for making our dreams come true.
Alright, I'm going to turn it down. So hey, engine enhancements. Maybe, finally, someday between now and 2025. Phantom. I tell you what, the two aircraft I've been waiting for in DCS forever and a day is a full fidelity F-15 and an F-4. And I was hoping that we'd get one and then a couple 3 years later get the other, but looks like both are coming this year. That's a sexy beast. So this is new model, I think. I think they redid the B-1 and the B-52 models in game to decrease server performance even further. I don't think the B-52 is going to be a flyable module as far as I know. Fabulous Phantoms. F-15E. Giza, I guess the Sinai map, more desert, yay. C-130, this is coming out as a module. It's currently a mod. It's a pretty decent mod. Looks like they're upping their game for a full-fledged module. And I will get the C-130. I like to support developers that show that they can do a good product. And I will be getting the Phantom. I think that's heat blur. New model for the S3. I don't think we're getting a flyable version. If we were, that'd kind of be cool. Oh, recreating the B-52 flyby. Legacy Hornet. We're getting rid of 3 maps and combining them into one for World War II. I don't own any of those, so I'll probably be getting that terrain. Definitely be getting the F4. Much as it pains me to kind of say that, but A4 mod, not module. Mudhen definitely going to get. Looks like UH-60. Kiowa. I don't know. I don't think I'd buy another Polychop product until they get it right. Prove their flight models in the UFO. F4U Corsair. Not interested in. Lag? Or Yak? I do like some Mirage F1. Interesting they show the A4 community mod, not the... As far as I know, that's not coming as a module. Kiowa again. Alright. What's going to be the big reveal? Helicopter. Vietnam. Wait, that's not Fortunate Son. Oh, Chinook. Huh. That's interesting. Okay, so we're going to go back through here. Okay, Chinook. Chinook is interesting from the perspective of gameplay. This is essentially a logistical helicopter, and there is no real logistics gameplay unless you go in and kind of halfway script it yourself using scripting like CTLD. This has become a gameplay element thanks to things like a Gray Flag and a couple of other servers out there and stuff that I've been working on with some folks as well. But it's not well implemented, and one of the biggest problems is we as scripters and developers do not have any API access into the warehousing system, which is a half-assed monstrosity of itself. Because really, there might be kind of an attack version of this helicopter that was in Vietnam. I think they attached a couple of pylons and some rocket pods to it and tried to create a gunship out of it. They do have door gunners, but this is a logistical helicopter. It delivers troops and supplies and towed artillery, all 3 of which, outside of man pads, infantry is basically a waste, a useless waste of resources in terms of CPU clock cycles in DCS. It's not like they have modern anti-tank troopers with Javelin or Dragon or Cornet or uh, various more modern in-law, more modern RPGs. So their effectiveness against armor in the game is non really a non-factor. Same thing with rifle infantry, machine gun infantry. The only infantry that's worth a darn is man pads, either Igla or Stinger troopers, and maybe now the JTAC unit. I don't know. I haven't had a chance to really play with the new designated JTAC unit troop in DCS. So that's kind of interesting. That would indicate to me that we're going to have to see some sort of campaign engine, dynamic campaign engine, or they're going to give us, because one of the big things that was asked by the scripting community was give us API calls into the warehousing system to add, delete munitions and inventory of items and things like that, so that we could, if they're not going to get around to it, we can build our own production systems and things like that. That's really all that we're lacking. So interesting that the next big thing that they touted for this year was a logistical helicopter in a game that doesn't have logistics gameplay or solid infantry delivery mechanics either. Uh, so I don't know if I can get, it was like 2 frames here. So the F4 Phantom, as much as I'm kind of against pre-orders and stuff like that, man, that's going to be a hard day one pass up. As soon as that's available for order, I'm getting it. When it comes to McDonnell aircraft, the F4 program, the F-15 programs in particular, are what growing up put a roof over the head, paid for my college education, and has provided the foundations for a pretty good life. So when it comes to these things, I have a very, very soft spot. And you can also ancillarily throw in the Aviate and the F-18 programs, and especially the F-18 Super Hornet, although my dad retired just as the Super Hornet program was really starting to deliver its first aircraft to the fleet. So not quite as much. Certainly Legacy Hornet, certainly the Aviate-B. My dad spent most of his career at the Electronic Systems Company in St. Charles, where they built the heads-up display and all the avionics and electronics and wiring bundles and all of that good stuff for these planes. So they have a lot there. I am not an absolute expert on all things Soviet aviation World War II, but I believe this was either like a lag or a yak of some kind, not an IL-2, but like maybe a MiG 3, I think it was, or a lag 9. Again, I'm not. I'd have to go back and look at all my reference guides and reference materials on that, but looks like a Soviet piston fighter is coming. I'm sure that'll make some people happy. More phantom porn. Legacy Hornet. Vegan. Let's see here if I can. Okay, helicopter here. To me, okay, this is the Kiowa. I thought at first this was the UH-60, but nope, this is the Kiowa M4. I have the. I bought the helicopter bundle that was made available 3 or 4 years ago, where it was all 4 helicopters at the time for like $50, and it included all the Gazelles. But man, the Gazelle flight model is just absolute dog shit. Um, the little ones at school, so I can say that. And they've never really fixed it. It has UFO flight dynamics. I'm sure the helicopter guys, the roto heads, will enjoy having yet another helicopter or two. That's probably going to be a pass for me. It's very interesting that the A4 community mod keeps showing up in these videos, and as far as I know, again, this is not slated to become an official module. The developers behind it never wanted it to be, and so it's one of those things. But as a community developed freeware module, it is very nice, especially for people who can't afford to spend hundreds of dollars on modules. It gives them a nice option. There was a lot of focusing on the B-52, and I don't think that these are going to be player flyable aircraft anytime soon. These are showing off their new 3D models because the S3 Viking, the B-52 model, and the B-1B model were all getting to be kind of potato quality. They would be right at home in BMS, but for DCS and their recent adventures into high polygon count aircraft to make them look sexy, uh, that's kind of I think where that's coming from. Again, S3 Viking, I don't think we're going to see this as a flyable aircraft anytime soon, but this is, I think, showing off its new model. If you look at the model in the current iteration of DCS, it is quite crap compared to a lot of the more modern AI fighters. More phantom porn. Um, Again, I think it's just an absolute travesty from my perspective that we're likely to see the F-15E and the F4 probably within rapid succession release of each other. And I was really hoping it was going to be a situation where a few years ago we either got the F-15E and then 2 or 3 years later got the F4 or got the F4 and a couple more years later, so we could really dive in, master an aircraft, and fly it all the time and have a lot of fun. And then probably about the time that starts to get a little old, get something that's new hotness coming around. But man, I have always loved the F4. Um, More C-130 makes me think that this is a module. Again, there's the mod. There we go. So the C-130 is supposed to be coming too. Looks like a high quality model, and hats off to those people who turning a mod into a module. And I will buy it because I do like the logistical gameplay on servers like Gray Flag, other things developed and stuff like that. And it is something that if I only have a couple of hours and want to really chillax and do something on a multiplayer server, flying logistics is a way to do that. Mudhen porn. Um, I just, it tears me that both of these aircraft will be coming out at the same time. Um, that being said, this is Razbam, so I do have the Aviate Harrier, which is Razbam, and the Mirage 2000, and it seems in the last couple of years they've started to really kind of get their act together on those aircraft and providing updates and showing that they can put out a fairly decent quality product. But my response has always been about the F-15E. You know, what was it, 4 years ago? They claimed that it was weeks, not months away, and here we are 4 years later, and it's still weeks, not months away. Uh, Maybe. More F-15 porn. Uh, Sinai map. I'm split on this. If performance is decent and it seems to be wide uptake in the community, I will probably get it. But it is, again, more desert territory and basically just where the Syria map uh, leaves off. That being said, there are still several historical campaigns that would be relevant to like the F4 Phantom, even the F-15E, when we talk about the various battles with Israel and Egypt and the Arab coalitions from 1948 until what, 73, and then later on it's been Gaza and Lebanon in the 80s through modern times. So relevant, more phantom porn, more mudhen porn. Again, a look, I think, at the B-52 model. I don't think that this is going to be flyable. More phantom porn, and the if I can get it here, the B-1B. Again, I think this is showing off the new model for the B-1 as opposed to actually being a flyable aircraft. Although there's some people who would absolutely love that. This, I'm not a tank guy, but initially this looks like a, it says a Centurion, or is it a Leopard? It's either a Leopard 1 or it's a Centurion. Yeah, I think it's a Leopard. MG3 machine gun. It's a Leopard 1. Okay, that's a little bit less interesting unless it's getting a desert paint job now. And that's their big thing. Kiowa, it looks like. C-130 again. So, S3 Viking. Let me tell you something about the S3 Viking and its current iteration. It is one of the best ground attack aircraft for the AI in DCS. I have found from scripting missions and creating missions, doing DCS liberation and stuff like that. It is like an unsung hero, and especially in liberation. They're relatively cheap, and when it comes to AI ground attack aircraft, they tend to do the job better than a lot of others I have found over the years. So, yeah, sexy, sexy plane. Uh, I'm kind of torn. DCS definitely needs that under the hood love that BMS just got. It does have better eye candy than BMS. I'm not going to deny that at all, but it was one of those things that to me it always seemed like BMS did everything else in terms of dynamic campaign and stuff like that better. And I was hoping that we'd find out more information last year or start to see the initial progress. I will say this much about the dynamic campaign. I do a lot of scripting, I do a lot of work with the mission editor whenever I have time. And I have seen clear progressive steps that if you're not in there playing with mission editor all the time, that this is certainly something that is being worked on. And quite, I don't want to say rigorously because I think them losing an unknown number of developers in Russia to the war hasn't helped things, certainly. But there has been some, I think, behind or under the hood changes being made that shows to me that there's been progression. But really, I started to see that in 21, and then it seemed to stall out last year in 22. But yeah, I generally have been happy with what Heatblur has put out in terms of the F-14. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one, to the F4 in particular. The F-15E, yeah, I'm looking forward to it too, but it's also Razbam. I think I'll probably wait for the reviews. The F4 though, I will be picking that up and flying the crap out of it. Um, I remember seeing them on the tarmac there at Lambert International. Back growing up, and then the big old McDonnell Douglas sign that did say Boeing and now says nothing, which is always depresses me to go to the airport now for a lot of reasons, but that being one of them. All right, I've got to go pick up the little one, so I will leave it there. And I will be doing a Life, the Universe, and Everything update video here relatively soon. Hopefully by this weekend. Till then, see you next time.